Hello everyone and welcome back to aniprop.com. Today let's talk about Fire Force or Enen no Shouboutai. This is a post-apocalyptic shonen series where some great disaster engulfed the world in flames and people retreated to live in large cities. Copy and paste from any other post-apocalyptic setting. That said, Fire Force is unique in how it portrays some aspect of its world. People die by combustion in this universe. They randomly burst into flames and become a fire demon of some sort. The series calls these Infernals. Infernals are battled and laid to rest by teams of pyrokinetics which comprise the Fire Force. Cool, introduction out of the way. So, my opinion is this series is overrated. What I mean by this is on myanimelist.net it has a current rating of 7.8. That is extremely high for a seasonal anime. It should be around 6 point something. A score of 7.8 means it's comparable to battle shonen like My Hero Academia. I assure you, it does not come close, and today I'm going to try my best to break down why that is. I'll start by saying that the story itself is pretty uninspiring. I started writing this after forcing myself through 10 episodes. So far it's following a family revenge sort of plot, copy and pasted from the usual lame family revenge types of plots. The animation gets a passing grade, but it's not consistently good. It has some brilliant sakuga. However, most of the series see characters animated without even their faces. Look here as an example. You're gonna be looking at this a whole lot as you watch this series. The sakuga is impressive, but the fights themselves are let down by the poor narrative. An example of this fortunately can be seen in a single episode. Episode 14. Careful for spoilers for this episode. So let me set up the scenario. Fire Force Unit 7's territory is under attack from Infernals. The unit leader, Shinman Benimaru, uses his pyrokinesis to propel a broom, flying one of the fire demons high up in the sky to destroy them with more fire. Same style as Endeavor with the prominence burn at the end of season 4. He gets up there in the sky, but the enemy unit launches a fire arrow after him. The narrative makes a big point that only the awesome power of the protagonist, Shinra, is able to intercept the arrow, which seems to me to take an age to arrive. Moments later, we see Benimaru summon more flying brooms way faster than Shinra got to the arrow. Narrative fail. I like this episode because it encapsulates everything wrong with the anime while simultaneously featuring its greatest strengths. The story continues to be unimpressive with the lamest theme in shonen, the usual we can't work together. Shinra and Arthur, like the Knight of the Round Table. One of his fellow firefighters are constantly at odds, and even during a battle with their life on the line, the two idiots begin fighting each other. It's so stupid that it breaks the immersion. More stupidity without spoiling too much is there's a point in the show when the protagonist comes up against an insurmountable foe. The anime makes a point to show us how grand the difference in power is, in such a way that it even intrigues the audience. But instead of quickly defeating Shinra, the protagonist, the enemy then goes on to explain exactly how his power works and how to defeat him. The story does get a bit more interesting when the engineer Vulcan is introduced, with somewhat stimulating stories involving another corrupt Fire Force. But that's more than 15 episodes into the anime. Yes, all is not lost. There's also one good villain not introduced, but covered in detail in that very same arc, Dr. Giovanni. They never explain what type of doctor he is or even reveal his face. The man reminds me of Alpha 1. I think he may even have the same voice actor in the English dub. I'll check later to confirm that. His appearance is masked and he wears an overhaul style beak. His aesthetic and presentation is in keeping with what you'd expect from a shonen villain. I mean, look at this guy. Take a look. The main character, Shinra Kusakabe, is a cut above the average shonen power fantasy lead. He has interesting quirks, not like in My Hero Academia, but actual personality quirks. He's somewhat likable and good enough to carry the plot along. His powers are like Deku's shoot style, but even more aesthetically pleasing. The show itself compares his power to styles of breakdancing. So, these are some narrative positives, but ultimately, the final confrontation is boring and disappointing, and it's even more disappointing because of the early promise the anime showed. I will conclude by saying that this is a charming, somewhat comedic anime with good action sequences, but nowhere near the caliber of My Hero Academia, and it's thoroughly overrated in every single way imaginable. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Fire Force. Remember to like and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.